Hartz and I wrote, the last chapter is about, promoting Mindsight in yourself, which the whole book is about, and then about doing that with your children. And the simplest thing to say is, you got to start with your own inner world.
Right.
So if you don't have comfort going inward and seeing your own mind with a me map, it's going to be really hard to encourage someone else to do it. So I was once teaching a group of teachers, and one of the teachers raised her hand and said, "You're opening a Pandora's box. I don't want to look in myself, and you're asking me to look in someone else." And I said, well, we do need to support you, if you're going to be a teacher, feeling comfortable knowing what's going on inside of you.
Right.
She said, well, I don't think kids should know what's going on inside of them. And it's understandable, because if you yourself are frightened, what are you going to do?
Right.
So part of awakening the mind is to start with yourself. Then once you do that, there are simple things that I call reflective dialogues, where if a kid, does something like, wants to throw something off a table, rather than just identifying the external visible thing, like, oh, you're throwing that off the table, you might identify with words the internal experience. Wow, I see you have a lot of energy today, so you want to throw that off the table. It's not okay to throw that off the table. Stop.
Yeah.
But I see your energy. I see you're so excited. All the relatives are coming over. Let's go outside. I'm cooking now, but I want you to go outside and play with the ball, and I'm going to be out in about 7 minutes when I can take this out of the oven, and we're going to play a game of ball.
Yeah. Terrific.
What happens with that child is he had the experience that, in this case, let's say his dad saw his internal world. And in a way, the mind becomes real when people in our relationships with us make it so.
Right.
And otherwise, we're just living in a set of circuits in the brain that's looking outward instead of inward.
Right.
So it's kind of that simple. I don't want to say it's not brain science. But it is.
Right.
But it's, it's not. It's actually unbelievably simple.
Right.
Once you kind of think about the thing, it actually doesn't even take much. Maybe it takes 5 extra seconds in an interaction. It's just developing those circuits in yourself that create. And with a lot of my patients, the way I teach it to them, I don't talk about all this neuroscience stuff unless they want to know. I talk about me maps, you maps, and we maps. And even if you just start including that in people's vocabulary, I say to them, okay, I understand that was your interaction with your wife, let's say couples therapy. What was your you map of her right at that moment when you said that outrageously insulting thing? What were you thinking was going on in her mind as you told her this or that? And they'll stop and go, oh. I said, well, stop for a moment. Give yourself a pause, take a break, sense your breathing. Let yourself have this circuit of your brain that never got developed in your kid, develop a you map of your wife because she's about to divorce you.
Right.
Right. Because who would be married to someone that didn't have a map of them in their own mind?
Right.
A patient of mine a long time ago, when I was like a second-year resident back in the early 80s, she said, when therapy was done, she was about to move off to another university, I said, what happened? Because she got a lot better, and I had no idea what I was doing. So I said, can you tell me what happened here? She goes, all right, I'll tell you. She was a graduate student in science, so she was very articulate. She said, I'll tell you what happened. I said, what? She goes, I felt by you, and that was everything. And ever since that moment, it organized my whole framework for the relational power of healing. And then just this other stuff is just kind of the detail of what she said. Right. But the details are helpful when you want to go convince school systems or training programs why they need to teach these hugely important relational processes. And then when you want to put into a larger theoretical model like interpersonal neurobiology, you need the science. But in a relational way, really that's what it comes down to. The presence of the parent to allow the child to feel felt, not just have their behavior managed, but their internal world honored and illuminated.